So let's continue on with our discussion on multiplication of two matrices. This time by taking a numerical example to solve the sum. So let's consider the two matrices like matrix A, which is 3, minus 4, 5, 1, matrix B, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and see how to actually multiply them and get an answer. Right. So now if I have to multiply matrix A into matrix B, which is basically A into B, I'll just write down matrix A first, which is 3, minus 4, 5, 1, and I have to multiply this by matrix B, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Note one thing again, matrix A is a 2 by 2 matrix, matrix B also is a 2 by 2 matrix. So as you can notice, the number of columns in the second matrix, which is 2, is equal to the number of rows in the second matrix. So matrix multiplication will be possible. And if you even remember that the product matrix will also be a 2 by 2 matrix, right? So let's just see how to find the elements of the 2 by 2 matrix. Now, the first matrix, we will generally consider the rows of the first matrix. So let me just mark them so that it becomes easier for you guys to see. We'll be considering the rows of the first matrix. So this is the first row of the first matrix, and this here is the second row of the first matrix. For the second matrix, we will consider the columns. So this here is the first column of the second matrix, and here if you see, this is the second column of the second matrix. Now remember, multiplication of matrices is performed row into column. It's not as straightforward as addition. So what we do is we multiply the first row. So understand it's a 2 by 2 matrix. So if I want to talk about the first row, first column element over here of the 2 by 2 matrix, I'll have to multiply the first row and I'll have to multiply the first row and the first column, right? So if you see, the elements are such, so, and we will multiply them element wise, which is 3 into 1 and minus 4 into 3. So it will be 3 into 1 and minus 4 into 3, and I put a plus sign between them, right? So this is how we multiply the values. We multiply them, we multiply it row into column, and we multiply them element wise. So 3 into 1 and minus 4 into 3, and then we add the value, add the two results that we get, right? This is for the first row, first column. Now if I'm moving on for the first row, second column element, I'll multiply the first row and the second column. And again, multiplication will be done element wise. So it will be 3 into 2, right? 3 into 2, and I have minus 4 into 4, right? So minus 4 into 4, and a plus sign between them, right? So we were dealing with the first row elements, and that is why we were using the first row of the first matrix. Now as we go to the second row, we will use the second row elements. So if I want to multiply the second row elements, so let's multiply the second row first column. That will give me the second row first column in my product matrix. So it's going to be 5 into 1 plus 1 into 3. So 5 into 1 plus 1 into 3, right? So 5 into 1 and 1 into 3, because now we are in the second row, so we're using the elements of the second row. And now we're going to the second row, second column element. So again, we'll multiply the second row with the second column. So 5 into 2 and 1 into 4, right? 5 into 2 plus 1 into 4, 1 into 4, right? This here will give me the, on solving this, I will get the answer of my matrix. So if I simplify this further, I'll get the value of AB, which is basically, so 3 into 1 is 3, minus 4 into 3 is minus 12. So 3 plus minus 12, well, let's just write down further. So 3 into 1, which is 3, and 4 into minus 3 is or rather minus 4 into 3 is negative 12. Next we have 3 into 2, which is 6, plus 4 into negative 4 into 4 is negative 16, right? 5 into 1, which is 5, plus 1 into 3, which is 3. Then we have 5 into 2, which is 10, and 1 into 4, which is 4, right? So final bit now, when we simplify this, 3 minus 12, 3 plus minus 12 is basically 3 minus 12 will give me minus 9, right? 6 plus minus 16, right? So 6 plus negative 16 will give me the answer as negative 10. Furthermore, 5 plus 3 will give me 8, and 10 plus 4 will give me 14, right? Yeah. So as you see, matrix multiplication is a little bit more complicated. It takes a little time to get used to it. There is a slightly, may not be easier, but there is a slight trick over here which you may want to use, which I'll probably describe here. So suppose if I have, if I'm dealing with matrix A, B, right? So remember, it's rows into columns, and that is why you realize that is why we have to make sure that the number of columns in the first is equal to the number of rows in the second, so that we have the same number of elements to multiply, right? So if I'm multiplying them rows into columns, there is a slight trick way of probably even writing the answer. Like if I consider the first row here is 3 and minus 4, those are the elements. So I'll write those down first. 3. I'll leave a little space here for the element of this column. So 3, and then remember there will be a plus sign in between, and I have 3. There will be a plus sign in between, and I have a minus 4, right? Sorry, wrong color. 3, and I have a minus 4 along with it, and I'll write it on, so this is the first row, and so I'll write it on both the sides of the first row. 3 and leave some space, plus sign, and minus 4. So this is for the first row. We'll do the same operation for the second row as well. Now for the second row we have 5 and 1. So let's take 5 and 1. So I have 5, right, plus, right, and minus, sorry, it's plus 1. 5 and 1, right? 5 and 1, and same way on the other side as well. 5 and 1, right? So this way we populated the values of our rows. Now let's consider the second matrix and the columns of the second matrix rather. So we have this column here, so 1 and 3. So that's the first column, so we'll fill those in the first column over here. 1 and 3, 1 and 3. And the second column over here, 2, 4, let's fill that in the second column as well. So 2 and 4, 2 and 4, right? Now if you notice, now I can compute the answer here, right? So 3 into 1 is 3, and minus 4 into 3 is minus 12. 3 minus 12 will give me minus 9. Yeah. 3 into 2 is 6. This is minus 16, which is negative 10. 5 into 1 is 5. 1 into 3 is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. 5 plus 5 into 2 is 10. 1 into 4 is 4. 10 plus 4 is 14. So you'll end up with the same answer, obviously. But yeah, so this is like a trick method in case. So what you do is you populate first the row values, first row, second row, and then you populate the column values. In case you guys like that method, I personally prefer this method more, where I'm multiplying them rows into columns and I get the answer according to that. Yeah. Uh, in the next videos, we'll take a few more examples, solve them, and try to get more thorough with matrix multiplication.